The following is a rebroadcast of the Newark City Schools Board of Education's most recent general monthly meeting.
So, and Diane will talk a lot about that, but when you think about that, that is going from really serving about 250 seniors each year to over 2,500 students a year, which is a pretty dramatic increase in programming over the last 6 or 7 years. We're really proud of that. That happens because of really effective partnerships, and that partnership involves the Ecalda College Board, the Newark Board of Education, the teachers, the administrators, the staff of every single school, and in addition, we've gotten tremendous help from Ohio State University at Newark, from COTC, and also from Denison University. So it's been a big community-wide effort. When we started into the effort to really increase that programming, many of you were already on the Newark School Board at that time, and we knew we needed to do some pretty dramatic fundraising. And I'm sure you're probably aware we had a campaign, and it was extremely successful, and it's extremely successful because of it was very easy because people appreciate and are so thrilled about what is happening in the Newark schools in this program and throughout the schools. And it just was not a hard sell. It was very, very easy. I wanted to make sure that you all have an idea of what the outside support is for this program, because it really is quite stunning. In the last 6 years, the number of alumni donors, these are Newark Schools alumni, has increased from 69 to 201 donors. These are annual donors. These are people who send us a check every single year, and those numbers go up every single year. Approximately 80% of the funding that is needed for the last dollar grants and all the programming needs actually is coming from donors, and about 20% of the funding is coming from the Newark City schools. So this is really great leverage in terms of the dollars that are being invested by the school system, I think. I can't tell, we have donors from all over the country that send money because they care about the students in the Newark City schools. And it really is heartening. I mean, they send checks every single year. It's just absolutely fabulous, and this is really helping so many of our kids get what they need to be able to pursue higher education. We have 42 Newark City Schools staff members, faculty, administrators who donate to this program every single paycheck through payroll deduction. You know how that is appreciated, and those are very, very meaningful dollars. And I thought you might also want to know, when we lost Lou Mitchell a year ago, he asked in his obituary to have Ecalda College be the beneficiary of any memorial donations. And we received 184 memorial donations in Lou's name. And what we have done is we have pooled all that money together, and we have founded an annual scholarship that we will be awarding every year at the annual breakfast that we have in June to a Newark high school senior who is an athlete and a leader. So we thought that would be a neat way to memorialize Lou and make it an annual event. Now, how does this really help our kids? Last year, for every dollar that we awarded in last dollar grants, the kids got $12.77 in additional dollars for scholarships. So that's for a $1,000 grant, they got $12,777 because of the work that Diane and the volunteers and the rest of the staff of Ecalda College do to help kids get scholarship money and other financial aid. We had, in 2011-12, Newark High School seniors were awarded $2,521,000 and sorry, I can't say. I'm a banker. I should be able to say a number. 2,521,000. Yeah, 521,125. So over $2.5 million in other financial aid. And one thing I like to say, because this is a total reflection on Diane and the work that is done in this program, the Ohio College Access Network a couple of years ago awarded A Call to College as the most outstanding college access program in the state of Ohio. So they see these programs all over the state, and that is a real tribute to what has been happening. So that's really all that I wanted to say before I introduce Diane. But Diane, like I said, has been with this program really since the very start. And those of you who know Diane know what a great leader she is. And she is a great leader of volunteers. She's a great leader of the staff. She's the most patient and wonderful person to be working with young people and their families. It's just, she's truly the heart and soul of this program. And it's just a pleasure for me to ask Diane to make a few comments and let you know exactly what's happening, because she's the one who really knows. I'm going to just give each of you one of these. There's material inside that you may or may not have seen, but you can take it home, and it kind of gives you a good summary of what's happening. And I'm sure a lot of the things that Diane will talk about are in these materials, so you can have it in writing. But we thank you so much.
I'm going to try not to repeat some of the words that Sarah provided for you this evening, and my goal today is to really share with you actually what is happening on the ground and the kinds of things that are pretty exciting that Newark Schools has invited A Call to College to partner with them to be able to provide this information and these dreams for continued education after high school. The thing that we always try to do with A Call to College is to stay true to our mission. And that mission is to assure that every qualified Newark High School graduate has the opportunity to pursue continued education. It sounds like a simple thing, but every child doesn't have that opportunity in other schools. If they wish to pursue it, our goal is to help make that dream to come true. To fulfill this mission, we have some objectives that A Call to College programs and that we infiltrate through the programs and services that we provide. And that one is to motivate and encourage students to graduate from high school and pursue post-secondary education, counsel and advise Newark City students and their families about sources of financial aid for college, providing last dollar grants to qualified Newark high school graduates, increase awareness and understanding of benefits of education beyond high school. This is throughout grade school, middle school, and high school. Speaking of some of the earlier awareness pieces, we have a program that's called PEAK, and it's providing early awareness knowledge. And this program began in the fall of 2009. And the goals of the PEAK program is to provide college knowledge, literacy through reading and learning about financial literacy, career awareness, and education. And we have been fortunate enough to be able to thread this program through 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th grade levels. And a lot of the decisions that were made and continue to be made about the kinds of programming that we offer in the middle schools and in the elementary schools was really designed by the teachers, by the educators. And that's why it's become so effective, is because it wasn't a program that was just simply overlaid on top of all the other things that teachers have as responsibilities that they need to do in the classroom, but they know best what these kids need, and we go along to help implement it. In the 2nd grade, just to give you a little bit of a piece of what we do, we have I Know I Can Go to College Reading Week, a whole week that's designated to infiltrating their minds with the concept that I can go to college. We have Reading Rocks, and we go to the library. It's a field trip. We have library card registration for every 2nd grader. There's Celebrity Reader Week, which some of you have already been involved with Celebrity Reader Week, where we have people come from all over the community come in and read books to the students in second grade. We have Peak Week, which that involves a lot of staff getting involved and getting a cheerleader hat on about going to college and sharing their experiences that they've had in college. College comes into the classroom. We have workshops where we have college kids that actually come into the classrooms, and the kids are always in awe of seeing these college students and the fact that they can have their dream come true too. Fourth grade is what's called College and Money Savvy Wildcat lesson plans, and these are lesson plans that are actually, it's a series of lesson plans that are partnered again with the teachers in the fourth grade as well as a call to college staff. We have a piggy bank game, which the piggy bank is divided into fourths. The students can spend, they can save, they can invest, and they can donate. And it's very real as far as how do I earn this money? Well, you come to school, you do your homework, you pay attention. Things that these fourth graders can do, and they can relate to the fact that once they participate, they can actually be a part of that piggy bank game. We have a play that's called The Wonderful Wizard of College that is in partnership with the Works, and every fourth grader gets to go and to see that play, which is a take, of course, on The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. For the sixth graders, we have a Kids to College curriculum, which again, partnering with those teachers in the sixth grade to help teach the lessons and to send the message of continued education. We have an introduction of what's called Know How to Go resources, and this is a resource that's all throughout all throughout Ohio, actually all throughout the nation, that gives kids fun ways to think about how do I find out how I can continue on, and how do I find out who can help me go on to college. We take all sixth graders on a local college visit. Local meaning Central Ohio college visit. 6 different colleges have partnered with us to allow us to bring sixth graders onto a college campus for a real college experience, including going to the cafeteria and including ordering from the menu and sitting in the cafeteria with the college kids. So sometimes we think that food is not that important, but we all know differently, and that experience is one that's very memorable to those kids in sixth grade. Eighth grade, we have what's called the Ohio Career Information System. That's online training. It's again a part of a Newark City Schools program that's in the eighth grade that we help implement. We have a reality store. Some of you have been involved with the reality store in eighth grade, and it's a real life experience for these eighth graders to go from station to station, being assigned a role of a person who is like other people in our community. Maybe they've graduated from high school. Maybe they are a college graduate. Maybe they're a dropout. Maybe they have a family. Maybe they're a smoker. Maybe they have a divorce, and they deal with their circumstances and go through the stations. And many times they run out of money. They have to go to the bank, and the banker has to make some decisions on how do we get out of this mess. And many times it's, do you want to go back to school? Do you want to go to college? And that's when they get that real life experience of yes, I think I need something more because I don't want to be a dropout. I do want to have some education. I do want to have some opportunities. As far as the high school programming is concerned, the high school programming is pretty comprehensive. And in the junior year, we have a program that's called Act Now. And Act Now is a series of workshops and a series of opportunities for our 11th graders to be able to brush up on some of their test-taking skills, to be able to help diminish some of the test-taking anxiety that exists. We aren't going to teach kids how to be more academically prepared, but we can sure have them be more emotionally prepared for the test. We have a number of college preparation, college financial aid, evening workshops that we involve parents and help them filling out the financial aid forms, helping them understand what it takes for parents to be engaged in this process. We take kids to the Columbus Kiwanis College Fair, and that's where they get to see over 200 different colleges, and it opens a lot of eyes for those juniors. We have College Application 101 Days, which is part of that partnership with Ohio State and COTC, where they actually physically come on campus, help kids fill out the admission application, and pay for it. So a barrier that we can help a lot of kids break down. We do take kids on campus visits. We have one-on-one advising. We have a group of 9 daytime volunteer advisors who donate approximately 1 day per week during school to do one-on-one advising with every junior and senior at Newark High School 3 different times throughout the year. We have a wonderful college resource center that is a part of our partnership with Newark City Schools that Mr. Aldpeter has been pretty intimately involved with helping us get it furbished and refurbished so that we can serve so many students and so many parents. And it is a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to offer a lot of resources to families. And so we're greatly appreciative for the wonderful space. For graduates, we have Alumni Day, where kids come back from college and sit down to talk to juniors one-on-one, face-to-face, saying, this is what college is like. This is what you need to do as a junior in high school in order to make it so that it's a reality and it can happen and it can be a meaningful experience for you too. We have Volunteer Day. Every student that goes to college and participates in the Last Dollar grant process is required to give back to the program, and that's a way they can do it. And they write thank you notes to all of our donors and to all of our participants, and that usually is over 700 thank you notes that are written by hand each year. The final thing I want to share is that Sarah was speaking a little bit about partnerships, and this is one of the things that we want to make sure that we thank. I can't thank all of you enough for what we have in partnering with Newark City Schools. In the 2012-13 year, we had 360 volunteers, and they provided over 2,600 hours to A Call to College. It's phenomenal. In addition to that, though, and I think maybe even a little more phenomenal, is that this year for the first time we tracked our NCS partners. Those people who are working for Newark City Schools, who are logging hours for A Call to College. And in the 12-13 year, we had 129 Newark City Schools partners, provided over 1,500 hours to this program. It's huge, and it's greatly appreciated. The Last Dollar grants that we provide to these students is a great benefit we can give to them, but all of this threading that we're doing and partnering that we're doing with you is going to help a lot of students' dreams come true so that they can begin to feel in the very beginning that they can go to college. So thank you.
Yeah, I have been through the 2nd grade and 4th grade and 8th grade peak program, about to embark on the junior program, and so it's very exciting. And of course, Call to College and the senior and junior program is second to none. I mean, we know that, but I am so excited about the peak program and the conversations it's generating in our elementary and middle school households, including my own, things that I'd never thought to talk to the kids about, that they're learning through the peak program. And it's been exciting to see the elementary buildings in particular, what the staff members in those buildings have done to springboard off of the peak program that you brought into the building, and how they've carried that beyond peak week and beyond every few weeks when you're there, and springboarding that information about college and career with the students really year round. So it's been very exciting, and I appreciate everything you do, and thank you so much for coming and giving us an update tonight.
Yeah, and I'll say, it hasn't been that long that I've forgotten that I was talking with Diane in her office when my daughter was getting ready to go to school and helping to complete the FAFSA. I don't know if you had any experience completing a FAFSA or not, but my goodness. But you must continue your good work, Sarah and Diane. You guys do an amazing job, and to hear the kind of results that you're getting, you must continue to do this. As you know, our mission, part of our mission here in the school district, is that our students, prepare our students to be able to compete in a global economy, in a global society. And that just can't happen if they don't go to college. And so you must continue your good work. I happened to be having dinner with my son-in-law last night, and he is a scientist at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And we were talking about his lab team. There are 9 doctors on his lab team. And what's interesting, only 2 people out of that 9 are American. Now, at the highest levels, our students are going to have to compete at a level like that. So again, we must continue on this good work of getting our kids, first of all, into college and having them compete, like I said, at a much higher level. So thank you for all your good work.
Before we move to construction update, I would just say I have the good fortune of sitting on that board and watching the planning go on, throughout the year, and I appreciate, I enjoy those meetings. There's so many good people here in Newark that make what Diane and Sarah talked about tonight happen, and Diane talked about dreams and those kind of things. And one of the things that I've seen for our kids, and what we talk a lot about, is it's giving our kids hope in a world that hope's hard to come by. And so, we talked a few years ago with that. If that second, fourth, sixth, and eighth grade program is going to work, it has to be embedded in what we do. And Bev touched a little bit on that. So I compliment our staff, too, for their work, because it is embedded in our daily life here, and I think we're starting to see that. And, our graduation rate, if it doesn't change overnight here, and it's not official, but is in the upper 80s here at Newark High School, just at the high school. And that's as high as it's ever been. 5 years ago, it was in the low 70s. And I think programs such as Call to College and some other things our community is doing is making a huge impact on what we're doing. So thank you, ladies, and to all the others out there, because it really is a community effort. So thank you for giving our kids hope. Thank you. Construction update, item 2, could not have picked a worse year in the last 50 years to pave. And we were talking earlier, when's the last time you saw 3 straight days of sunshine? We have a huge paving project going on here at the high school that hopefully it's Monday night, and hopefully it will be done Thursday night. We have a big paving project over at Roosevelt. Hopefully that will be done this week. And so when you're in the high school, we had a door package replacing in our renovated areas. It's actually cheaper to buy new doors than it was take off the old doors and refinish them. So, I think it's well over 100 doors, I believe, Dave. And the paving will be done here at the end of the week. I know it will be, because we're going to get some good weather. And we're going to have a ribbon cutting in September for the entire project. And so we're excited about that. We'll get out of the construction business and move forward. So from a construction standpoint, we're getting there. Roosevelt, as I mentioned with the paving, we've started to move. We moved our IT department first, our treasurer's office, curriculum, special ed department is going in now as we speak, along with some of the middle section at the ASC. We start in the back with Seth and Gimma and the gang will come forward, and Barbara's group will be after that, then Dave's group, and I'll turn off the light when I leave out of there. We'll all pretty much leave the same time, but I know we have good people here in Newark. I know we have good teachers, and we see our teachers are measured by test scores and some of those things that come out now. Our support staff in this district is unbelievable, just unbelievable. You think back a few years when we're talking about moving buildings and new buildings opening, and our own staff has moved us. What a great group of people. They just work really hard and do it with a smile on their face. And it has saved this district quite a bit of money by moving ourselves. And so I did want to compliment that group. So construction, ribbon will be cut in September for the district project. Ribbon will be cut in October for Roosevelt. And then, I hate to say this and jinx myself, but that'll be the last ribbon cutting I do in my career. I hope. Dave's shaking his head. Yeah, that's about it. But you think way back in the prior to 2004, when the building project was started to plan and passed in 2004, I think everybody involved with that really can be proud, because buildings were planned properly. They look unbelievable condition. We've got some great buildings, and a great point is this project's completed and we're over $5 million under budget, and it's not hard to check out. I challenge you, if you want to check it out. It does not happen in the state of Ohio for that to happen, and that's how we were able to do Roosevelt and keep a 1927 building. So we were able to say we're going to do 11 buildings. Now we did 12, and saved a wonderful structure on Mount Vernon Avenue. So great times. Great times.
Very good. Any questions on construction?
Technology update, there's really not a whole lot to say other than I talked a little bit about it with our move to Roosevelt. Our technology department has done a wonderful job this summer, and part of our plan for Roosevelt is we move a section at a time, a group in at a time, department in at a time, and once the technology's done in that department, then we move on to the next department, and then we move that group in. And next, already, I've been around a lot of our buildings this week. We have a lot of teachers coming in our buildings right now. And so it may slow our move up at Roosevelt. It may not, because we're going to take care of our teachers and our kids with technology before we take care of Dave and Barbara and myself that way. And then we'll move in when we get there. But about 700 new computers have been placed out around the building this summer, the buildings this summer, and you know, we're feeling pretty good about where we're at with technology. So that's a technology update.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Any technology question? Not, move on to treasurer's recommendations.
So, communication from the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Thank you, Doug. Now it's this time we'll do the communication from the floor. Anyone wishing to address the board, please come to the podium, give your name and address, and you may address the board for up to 5 minutes. Does anyone wish to address the board this evening? If not, now we'll move on to treasurer's recommendations. Joe?
Item 2A is approval of the board meeting minutes from the July 11th, 2013 regular meeting. That's in your appendix. Item 2B is approval of July 2013 financial statements and payment to vendors. We earned interest of $3,154.33 in the month of July, and our balances as a general fund is $19,530,000. Bond retirement is $2,730,000. Permanent improvement is $1,780,000. Building fund is $1,110,000. Food services is $99,000. OSFC project is $120,000. OFC project state share is $3,140,000. Classroom facilities is $2,141,000. Other miscellaneous at .87, for a total of $32,683,802.88, which is in balance with the bank. The third page of your little mini financial packet is Auditor of State Dave Yost, Auditor of State Bulletin, asking us to create a new account for management of tournaments in support of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. After discussions with Jeff Quackenbush, our athletic director, I felt like that $1,000 would give him a petty cash fund in order to organize, pay officials and stuff. Then as they sell tickets, they'll replenish that. The balance will come back down to $1,000. So it really costs the school district nothing. It's just a petty cash fund that I will monitor. And that's what the state auditors asked for, is that the treasurers of all the districts monitor these tournaments for Ohio High School Athletic Association for the benefits of our students. So I'm asking that you authorize that fund for $1,000.
He was comfortable with that $1,000 figure?
Pardon?
He was comfortable with that $1,000?
Yes, he was. He actually, I'm proud to say, but I'm kind of ashamed to say, to be honest with you, this was a separate independent fund that was not on my books at all prior to this auditor state bulletin. And Jeff actually funded the beginning balance himself out of his own pocket and left it there so that they wouldn't get bank charges and stuff like that. So that's the type of athletic director we have. That's the type of people we have at Newark. So this is the first time that we, the school district, will get that checking account open for him. That $1,000 balance will still earn the same interest as it would of any of our other accounts. So, yes, he is comfortable with that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve treasurer's recommendations 2, A, B, and C?
So moved. Second.
Curtis moved, Thomas second. Any discussion or questions?
Just one. On page 7 of the minutes, it does list Mr. Bybee and myself as voting nay on a thing, and it's, and we were not here.
Okay. You were absent, page 7 of the minutes. I'll get that corrected.
You make us absent instead of voting nay.
We voted for you.
Did you?
Yes. We were your proxy.
Wait a minute.
years from now, when they're checking through the records, they'll be saying, why did Carr vote nay?
Right. Any other questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes? If not, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes, motion carries. Superintendent's recommendations.
Okay, thanks, Bev. I call your attention, I put addendum number 1, item 3, appointments and assignments, which I'll explain here in a minute. And then also, at the request of Bev, want to pull off item 3B, Jeff Petrie, school psychologist, and also under 8D, approval for extended days for Jeff. We'll pull that off and vote on that separately after the first part of the personnel.
Which one was that?
8D,
8D?
yeah,
So you pulled off 3B?
to vote on separately.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Under personnel, I call your attention to retirements and resignations. I'm going to call your attention to Renee Cooley, who's a social studies teacher at Wilson. And Renee has had an opportunity to go where she lives, to Reynoldsburg, to teach. It's after the July 10th date. My rule with that, before I'll recommend that to the board, is we have to find a qualified replacement we're comfortable with. And on our list today, and I will share that with you, we have a wonderful young lady that we're fortunate to come across. So I am recommending that Renee be released from her contract. Also, leaves of absence. Please look at Carrie Stutz and Sandra Raposa Mallet. Those are 2 certified teachers who would like a year's leave of absence. Under item 3A, I believe we have just 1 new teacher. Would you like to stand and introduce yourself to the board, please? And tell them who you are, where you'll be teaching at.
Laura Burchell, I'll be teaching multiple handicaps at Philfield.
Yes. And we are really excited. Laura has some, a graduate of Newark, a son, daughter, graduating, has a daughter who is a sophomore. And yes, plays on the volleyball team, and just met Laura this morning. So we're happy to have Laura. I was in with the new teachers today, and I was really excited about the number of good quality kids that we have from Newark coming in to each year. I think that's just excellent that they would come back and think enough of our district to come back and start their professional career here. So that's really awesome. Again, item 3B, we pulled that out. Supplemental contracts. What I want to note here is that this has gotten so much better over the last couple of years, and Barbara and Jeff Quackenbush, thank you for your work with that, because we have a lot of supplemental positions here, and we're getting them done earlier and earlier each year, and so thank you for that. We have some salary and position adjustments. Also, tutors, Tammy Loafman. Substitutes are also on, and again, substitute teachers, guest teachers are hard to come by, and it's even going to be harder as Ohio State changed their program from the master's program back to a bachelor's, because we used to get a lot of the Ohio State kids who had graduated and then were in their master's program, a lot of young kids that were subbing while they were getting the master's and getting licensed, and we'll no longer have that. So we're about at the end of that, and all school districts have that issue, and so that's a challenge for us. So we appreciate the work of the personnel department with that, recruiting those people. Under 8A, approval of the agreement for our student resource officer. It's recommended the Board of Education approve an agreement with the Newark Police Department to provide a school resource officer for Newark High School during the 2013-14 school year at a cost of $42,000. I've done some checking on that cost, and we're getting a great deal. District just east of us in another county is paying in the 90s for a sheriff officer there, and not only are we getting a... Don't tell him. Oh, don't tell him, yeah. Well, Dave's not getting a raise, he knows that. But in any event, not only are we getting a good deal, we have a great partnership with the Newark City Police Department, and appreciate everything Chief Sarver and the officers do for us. I would say, Dave's sitting back there. Dave, I'm going to say 12 years? 13. Well, it'll be starting year 13 years here at the high school. And we have a resource officer at the high school, but I tell people, we have a resource officer in our district because 24/7, I can call Dave on Saturday night at 8 o'clock when I've heard something, and he answers his phone and he takes care of it. And Dave, we appreciate what you do and your attitude that way. It's never, hey, I'm off duty, and it's not at the high school. It's never that. It's, hey, I'll take care of it, and I'll check into that and get back with you. So thank you very much, Dave, for what you do.
Okay.
And then item D was pulled off.
Right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations, A, personnel 1 through 8, including the addendum, but excluding item 3B, Jeff Petrie, and item 8D, extended service days. But please note that under 3B, we are including Marcia Fink. Do you have a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations?
So moved.
Dan has moved. Do I have a second? Tim is second. Any discussion or questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, then it is recommended under item 3B to reemploy Jeff Petrie, school psychologist, at a cost of $64,866.97 from the, to be rehired from the retired area. And then item 8D is approval of extended days for Jeff, up to 20 days.
Do I have a motion to approve superintendent recommendation 3B, Jeff Petrie, and 8D, extended service days for Jeff Petrie? Tom has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dan is second. Any questions or discussion?
Just a couple quickies. The salary, that is.
Based on 10 years
Okay.
with a master's plus, I believe. Yeah,
And then the
master's
other,
plus.
the extended days, don't we usually term that as up to the number of days at the superintendent's discretion?
Yeah, and I did mention, I might not say that on there, but I did mention up to 20 days at our discretion. And Jean and Linda, who supervise that, will, right now, our caseload is so heavy that it's pay up to 20, and then I think some of them even give a little bit beyond that, just because of heavy caseload.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, under students and curriculum, all the way down to item 6A, for the high school, middle school, limited busing service that was put in, and that's for the cluster stops around the city. And Jason Keys does an excellent job of monitoring that, and we may say we will pick up on the corner of Mount Vernon Avenue and Mile Street. And if nobody's getting on, or not enough kids are getting on, then we move that stop. And I think we've pretty much got it nabbed down after a year and a half of that, of finding the correct stops where the most kids can take advantage of getting on. Obviously, in the morning is our higher traffic use of the buses. Some of that's because of athletic purposes, and some of it is at the high school. We wait, and try to get kids involved in some things after school, and the reality sometimes of it is when that last period's over, they want to leave the building and so not take advantage of some of those afternoon services. But again, we do drop off down by the Yes Club, correct, Dave? Which is that after-school program for our kids, where a lot of our kids, I think they had over 200 visitors last year. Actually, about 280 visitors last year from the district, different students that take advantage of the Yes Club. Not every day, but a lot of the days. And so that's been, and I appreciate the board doing that, because that's been well received by our students. Item 6B is the bowling, the conversation we had last winter Bowling has been a club sport, and we're recommending we make that a varsity sport for our students. Item C, we appreciate Joyce Woolard and her 13-inch television that she donated to Hillview, valued at $100. About buy a brand-new 19-inch screen for $100 anymore, maybe, but thank you, Joyce, for your generosity. Under business, accepting of a bids, recommend the Board of Education accept a bid for the project titled Purchase of School Buses. Awarding of bids, then that bus would be to Rush Bus Centers out of Pataskala, Ohio, at a cost of $87,999.
Okay, to have a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations B, C, and D.
So moved.
Dan has moved. I have a second.
Second.
Thomas, second. Any questions or discussion? Not call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes, motion carries. Now for board reports and recommendations. Item B, adoption of board policies. It is recommended the Board of Education adopt the policies listed below and as shown in the appendix and as announced at the July 11th, 2013 meeting of the Board of Education from the SALT Committee. File 2623.02, third grade reading guarantee. File 5630.1, positive behavior intervention in supports and limited use of restraint and seclusion. File 7530.01, cellular telephones and electronic communication devices. I have a motion to approve these board policies.
So moved.
Kurt has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thomas, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple comments. I want to talk about the second item specifically and in general, some of my experiences here in my couple of years on the board. Probably the most frustrating thing that I have encountered on this board has been the requirement that we adopt policies that are mandated by the state, given to us without any financial support whatsoever. And this is an example of them. The origins of this that I painfully had to get into are really two pieces of very well-meaning, good legislation that basically said, look, we're not going to seclude students, and that means lock them in a room, something that as I asked around, I found that we didn't do, which is great. And the second thing is we will not engage in physical restraint of students. And if you read the descriptions of those physical restraints, they make sense in the law. I'm not going to grab a kid by the neck. I'm not going to lay on a kid to hold him down unless there is an immediate danger, so someone's going to be harmed. But what happened to those two pieces? You would think common sense would say that what we would do is we'd adopt a policy saying we're not going to lock a kid in a room, and we are not going to hold a child down unless we believe they're a danger to themselves or an immediate danger to themselves and others. But instead, what we now have is this thing called positive behavior intervention and supports. I've talked to numerous teachers who have already been required to implement this. They say it is basically a massive mandate upon the teacher in the classroom to begin list building and calling parents and doing things that are just more work that take them away from teaching students and demonstrate that they are doing positive things with these students. And I say that with every bit of sarcasm I can muster in my voice, because this is crazy. And I thank Maura for patiently walking through this with me and getting all of the research on this and talking to our attorneys. And the conclusion was that we are mandated by the State Board of Education to pass this. I challenge everybody who watches this. You can call me. I'll give you a copy of this policy. It is the worst written policy you've ever read in your life. I had to go and research what this was outside of the policy, which to me is horrible, that we can't define what people are really supposed to do, what our teachers are supposed to do in the classroom in order to make it a safe environment for students, all because somebody didn't want children to be locked in a room and children to be restrained physically, things which we don't do, to my understanding, in this school district. So I have to vote for this, so I'm going to vote for this, but I said I was going to give this speech because if you talk to legislators and you talk to people who can talk to people at the State Board of Education, tell them that the biggest barrier to our teachers teaching children is not our teachers. It's not our teachers. It's these things that well-meaning people implement who generally don't have any idea what happens in the classroom and what we need to do in the classroom. And that's a pity, but I made the motion and I have to vote for this, so.
Well said.
Any other questions or discussion? Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Harden,
Yes.
Mr. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Bybee,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam.
Yes, motion carries. And now, board discussion on the East Main property. What information do you have for us at this point?
Well, we soon, in the next few weeks, will be vacated out of the ASC downtown, and so wanted to have a discussion because we've had a little bit of interest on, a lot of people, what are you going to do with the building? We've had somebody say, hey, I might have a buyer, they might be interested in the building, and so we wanted the board to discuss tonight. We've had discussion about, this is my feeling on this, and I know Tom brought up a few months back, he wanted to make sure that, it's our last building. So make sure that we don't need it for anything, which is very wise. Number one, we've concluded there's just absolutely no way that we could ever put students in there. So from a student standpoint, we're not going to use the building. And I don't anticipate the ASC growing from that standpoint going into Roosevelt. So, when you have an empty building and you're paying for electric and heat and those type of things, to me, you're not spending money wisely. So we wanted to have that discussion about that. So realistically, we think, from a time frame, by November 1st, even if the wheels were put in motion quickly, we'll be vacated out of that building.
Completely won't need any storage
No storage.
there or anything.
No storage or, no students again, no staff members, no storage. And that's, we're at a situation too now where you've got office furniture and some things we've compiled from the moves and that haven't sold at auctions. And so we have some of that in the Fifth Street gym. We have some of that stuff downtown. So it'll just be the board's wishes on, a minimum of $5,000 to advertise for an auction. Is there even $5,000 worth of items down there, after we pick through? And just so you know, with as we move into Roosevelt, we bought some new things, but a lot of us aren't taking any new things in there. And so as we get moved in, we're going to put stuff in one location. So maybe Gene Brown up in the special education department says, I need a file cabinet. Well, there's a file cabinet down in here. So we want to make sure our people do not need any of that furniture. And so from a time frame, that way, that's where we think we're at, with the ASC.
Doug, do we know approximately how much it will cost to maintain that building after everybody's moved out on a monthly basis? How much are we going to spend just to maintain that building?
Dave, ask Dave there. It could be,
I didn't look up those numbers, Dan, but I expect, particularly as we get into the winter months, as we discussed earlier with West Main, with even Miller, that you're well over multi-$1,000 just to protect the building, particularly when you get into the frigid months. You have to do that water going in the can, except for the building, perform it. I wouldn't hazard a guess, I can sure get that information for you, but I can guarantee you it will be in the thousands and thousands of dollars to just keep it safe, but particularly in that period when you get past October and
Sure.
until it gets warm again in the spring.
And as far as maintenance on that building, is the roof tight in the basement?
That's
Any
fine.
water problems or anything like that, or?
Not anymore. It can take care of itself. I mean,
Okay.
as long as somebody's in there to look after it, maintain, take care of, monitoring of heat and so on, so nothing's hurt. But And that in and of itself can be very expensive.
From vote to advertise to bid to auction, what's that timeline?
My best guess was if the board, I'm just thinking out loud, if they would say tonight, hey, Doug, would you authorize folks that work for you to go out there and get this thing moving forward in terms of an auction? It has to be advertised in a paper of general circulation in the area at least 30 full days before you have the auction. Then somebody comes in and you guys have been at those auctions before, whether that was West Main or whatever. You kind of see that somebody maybe buys it and you then ultimately decide if you accept that bid. Then however long it would take them to typically find some financing and so on. I think if you would want to do something starting tonight, you're looking at least 60 to 90 days before it's off our hands, so to speak. That's if an interested bidder would walk in the door 30-some days from now.
Any other questions or discussion concerning West Main? No?
Or a motion to put it out to auction?
If someone so desires.
I'd make that motion. I don't think we're in the business of owning empty buildings, so
Are you-
we don't need it.
What I've got wrote down, and I don't want to put words in your mouth.
You're welcome to.
Motion to authorize for the advertisement for auction and to auction the 85 East Main Street property. Is that satisfactory?
Have we got a value for it?
It's been appraised, what, for about 18 months ago?
The last time I looked at it, I would say it's,
About 210,000.
210.
210,000. That's
In that neighborhood.
several months old now, but I think it's probably still in the
It's still valid?
general ballpark. Part of the problem with that building is extremely limited parking.
Right.
The only space that we own is really the footprint of the building, and there's 8, 10 spaces in the back, adjacent to the alley. And then where our employees currently park for the next, hopefully, just a few more days, until they get to Roosevelt, is actually owned by the Evans Foundation. Right up to the foundation, our Eastern Foundation.
Have Kurt making the motion.
Do I have a second? Kurt has moved, Thomas second to advertise for auction the East Main property. Any discussions or questions?
I'll just say, I think, I did last spring say, I think we need to make certain we don't have a use for it, and that is my one thought. If we're 100% certain we don't have a use for it, we need to get rid of it. If there's any chance we may need it for storage or something, then we'd need to take a look at that.
Good thought. And it gave us some time to see what we would have left and how we're fitting into Roosevelt and those kind of things. And after I'm recommending to you that we don't need the storage, I can sure guarantee you we're not going to use it for storage. We're not going to have a storage problem, one way or the other, so.
Have storage at Roosevelt.
Well, between the wood paneling and the basement down there that looks like one of the levels of Dante's Inferno, I think it's wise to move on.
We're trying to sell the building, Dan.
It's sort of creepy.
One man's wood paneling is another man's beautiful.
Any other discussion? Not call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickam?
Yes, motion carries. So now you have something to work on this week, Dave.
Have fun,
Thing
Dave.
on Dave's plate.
Okay, now we'll do a board discussion. We'll start down there with Tim.
Just excited about a new school year starting. And open house here on the 15th. And that's, then all of our schools are doing the same thing. So that's all.
I pass.
I'll pass.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Everybody's passing, I better get back here. I thought it'd be at least
We're
5 minutes.
guessing you're gonna
Well, you got
pass.
Jeff first.
So you're trying to sneak away.
I'm not passing.
I'm just privileged. I'm just
Why is that
privileged
not
and honored
possible?
to serve the people in the Newark City School District, both the students, faculty, staff, and the community at large, and I genuinely appreciate serving here in Newark.
I'll never take it or pass on an opportunity to talk about the great things that are going on here in the district.
Already did earlier in the meeting.
So, just quickly, I always mention this time of year. Seems like I have a lot of discussion with people, old people like myself. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to go back to the Labor Day to Memorial Day school year. It seems like we start school every year, but it's impossible to get to 183 days in, that we're required to have now. But I do mention that our kids will be out and moving around at an earlier time and on the streets. So please observe that, as you're going down the street, students can dart out in front of you, and please help with that safety for our students. They're excited to get back and to school, and hopefully they pay attention to the safety rules, but they don't always. And we try to talk to them about crossing in the proper place and that. But I see sometimes kids dart right across the street, and so please be aware of that. Again, I know it sounds like a song I keep singing, but we sing songs we like to sing. Student achievement has never been as high as it's been in the Newark City schools. Right now we have a lot of good things as our preliminary results come back. Right now we've achieved every indicator except one in the district, which was 10th grade science. That's not happened before. Our graduation rate, at least at the high school, which I keep saying, the district's one and the high school's another. Sometimes we can't do anything about students who aren't here that count against our graduation rate. And when I say students that aren't here, I'm talking about the students that just disappear, not the students that we know are at home and that. But it hadn't been any higher than, as I mentioned earlier, 5 years ago it was in the low 70s, and I think Maura helped me out here. We're at 86 or 87 right now, 86% here in this high school, which is fantastic. So I thank so many people in the community, because one of the mindsets we've tried to change a few years back here is that the graduation issue isn't a high school issue. And I started talking about it's a K-12 issue. Well, it's not a K-12 issue. It's a pre-birth to 12 issue. And we've worked really hard with agencies here in town to help those, get that awareness out and some things that you can do. So we're excited about the graduation rate. Our buildings look wonderful. I mentioned before about our support staff, not only with the move. Gemma and I walked into Ben Franklin together this morning, and Gemma made a comment, this building looks better than it did when we opened it 4 years ago. And Carson Elementary, I could go on and on and on as you walk in our buildings. I walked in Ben Franklin, I asked him, hey, throw a hamburger down on that floor. You can eat off this floor. It is incredible, and the walls. And our people work really hard in our district. We have, 750 or so staff members here. Not all of them are teachers, and none are any more important than the next. I'm no more important than somebody that might work 2 hours in the cafeteria. I believe that. We're all a part of this. And our support staff have done just a fantastic job creating a nice atmosphere for our students to walk in. I really appreciate that. And then, we talk about our staffing, and we're close to about 100 new staff members, teachers, in the last 3 years, which is, just under a quarter of our teaching staff. And we've got some fantastic young people in our district that are really embracing our professional development, and we talked to the new ones today about being leaders in our buildings. I'm excited being around them today. It's a great group of kids that are really excited about being here. So that just really fires me up, and I'm so excited about the start of the school year. I couldn't be any happier right now, and it was neat. I was down in the gym earlier late this afternoon, and the volleyball team was practicing, and boy, is it nice to have kids back in these buildings. You get to a point in the summertime where they seem so empty and bare, and the kids are coming back now, and it's just an exciting time. So Tim loves me to say it's a great time to be a cat. I'm excited about being a cat, so thanks.
Kurt touched on it earlier with the state mandates. It can be frustrating when you talk about local board control and you go to someone on the staff and say, why are we discussing this policy? Well, because the state said you had to. And sometimes they'll give us say, hey, you have to develop a policy about this. And sometimes they'll say it has to be this policy, but you can choose between these 3 words to insert. Or sometimes they just say, this is it, pass it. And it is a little frustrating sometimes when you're put in that position. More frustrating is when they say you're passing this and it's going to cost your district $200,000, and by the way, we're not giving you any for it. And so, sometimes we're asked, why do we spend money on this or that? Because the state said we had to, and that's where it went. And talk about inflated figures in the schools, and we're doing what the state has mandated us to do, and it can be very frustrating at times. And often have the conversations with community members where I ended saying, I agree, please call your state legislator, please call the State Board of Education. So Kurt's right, sometimes we have to do what we have to do, and that's unfortunate. But the one thing I will say, that when we have requirements from the state, Newark does make it their own, and our staff and our administration attacks these mandates with how can we do this, meet the state's rules, but do it the Newark way and make it fit our district and our students and our community. And I'm very proud of us for exercising the local control that we do have with the state mandates that we must deal with. But I would like to end on a positive note, and that is I am so excited about the new school year, and I want to wish everyone, students, staff members, good luck this year, and work hard and get some good grades and pass those tests, I guess. But it should be a very good year. I'm very excited for it. And now I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss a personnel matter, and we may or may not take action afterwards. Do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session? Dan is moved.
Second.
Curtis, second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Mr. Bybee?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickum?
Yes, we're moving to executive session. It's 7:37.